Welcome to another edition of First and 10 with Texas Wesleyan Rams head coach, the great Joe Prud'homme. I'm maybe the not so great Jimmy the St. Christopher. Rams 51-0 winners over Southwest Assemblies of God University, SAGU for short, down in Waxahachie over the weekend. That's two straight consecutive in a row shutouts for the Rams. They beat Arkansas Baptist 2 weeks ago, 62-0, and with the 51-0, that's 113-0 point differential in the last two games for the Rams. And never before in Rams history have they had two consecutive shutouts. They had three last year, but they were staggered. So Coach Duckworth, is he smiling now for more than a couple seconds?
You know, it was funny because he told him before, yes, to answer your question a little bit, yes, finally. But no, he told the guys that we should hold them under 100 yards total offense. He goes, if we get off the ball and we take away the run and we get those two outside receivers locked up, there's no reason why they should go over 100 yards of offense. Well, held them to minus 78 rushing, and then I think the total yardage was like 49 or something along those lines. And that's big-time defense. I don't care who you're playing. They played well. Zeno Marshall had a great game. Jay Reed had a great game. A lot of them, Javari Sanders. But they played great team defense more than anything else. It was, everybody did their job. And when everybody does their job, it's going to be different people that are making plays. And that's exactly what they did.
Is that the lowest you've ever held a team to total yards, 49 total?
I would think for a conference opponent is. I think that we played a couple of non-conference guys that, we did a little better, but not much better. But I think that may be a conference deal. I mean, I don't know.
Jay Reed started the scoring with a block punt. Fell it in on it in the end zone. Rams had a 10-0 lead without a first down. It was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter, 41-0 at the end of the first half. Scoop and score for Reed again in the fourth quarter. And as Coach said, 49 total yards, minus 78 rushing, 5 first down, 9 sacks, 19 TFLs, 2 fumble recoveries. Was that the best D you've seen from the Rams so far this year?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That sounds like a defensive Christmas list, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go down all the TFLs, the sacks, the yardage, the 5 conversions. Another stat that's really interesting is that they lined up in punt formation 7 times in the first quarter. 7 times in the first quarter. That's pretty unheard of, but, they were throwing the ball. It was stopping the clock. They ran the fake punt after we called timeout. We called a timeout because we thought we had too many on the field. Actually, we didn't. But so it worked out good because when we came out of the timeout, we told them if they line up a certain way, look for the fake, and they lined up that way, and Kiki was right there for the fake, Kearton Colton, and he sniffed it out. So we played most of the first half right down there in the field, which was great. Field position was probably the biggest factor in the game. I mean, the defense set the field, special teams were outstanding, but when you have such a short field all the time and you got a really good wind at your back, you should score points. I mean, especially with our kicker, Blodgett is outstanding. And the offense, the short field, you can go to work. So.
Speaking of Zeno Marshall, as Coach did a little bit earlier, he was the Oklahoma Ford Dealers Sooner Athletic Conference Player of the Week on defense. And speaking of the Christmas number countdown, how about these? 6 tackles, 4 TFLs, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery, a forced fumble, and a partridge in a pear tree. Yeah. How much has he matured and evolved?
Oh, just tremendously, man. He had such a great summer. His summer was just outstanding. He got bigger, he got stronger, he got a little faster. But that's the most time he spent on football because he's also a wrestler and a really good wrestler. So, we didn't get him in the summer the last couple of years. This year we did, and he grew up like nobody else. And he's always had some speed. He always has that edge to him, which I really, really like. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, and everything came together for him Saturday. Whenever he got a single block and he beat it. He was just off that edge quick. He was in a really high level of play and execution, and man, that's the best I've ever seen him play.
And you mentioned last week that Zeno improved that quickness. How much did the wrestling help to improve that quickness?
I don't know if the wrestling helps the quickness. I'm sure it does to a certain, but the hand-eye coordination, the use of the hands, the leverage It's outstanding. I mean, wrestling and football they're great together. And what they learn in wrestling, the way they understand leverage, the way they use their hands, the way they understand body positioning, it helps. It helps a lot of those football wrestling combo guys to do well. And football also contributes to the wrestling for the toughness factor, and also it also enhances what they're already good at.
What about, I think about Herschel Walker years ago when he took ballet. How would that help a receiver, or Tai Chi, or any of the martial arts? How would that help a football player, especially a skilled player?
My very first job in 1988 at T.K. Gorman High School, we did ballet. 88, 89, 90, 91. When I went to Nolan, we did ballet. Just because of it, what it does is it helps their flexibility so much. The other thing they do really well is they learn how to fall, because in ballet you have choreographed falls. But the flexibility cannot be overstated, what they can get out of that. You put them on a bar, that big bar where they have to go and do their stretches and stuff, it's amazing. It helps their coordination, it helps their balance, it helps their flexibility, and it's great for injury prevention. Their joints are looser. They know how to fall. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, they take it better. So I think the ballet thing is huge. Yoga is what we do now. We don't, use that for some stretch stays and some really trying to get their flexibility worked on. And I think the crossover sports that do that they really help each other out. It really enhances their athleticism overall.
And speaking of ballet, my wife is a community theater dancer, was up in Cleveland, is here now in the Metroplex, and an actress, and her sister was a ballerina. And I turned her into a football fan when we were in Cleveland. I was a Cowboys fan, and she got into Michael Irvin because of his ballet moves and such. So I can see. That's interesting that you did ballet when you were at Gorman.
Well, my sister was also she danced on up in New York. So she danced at the big companies up there for a few years, and she had a background in it. And I always was curious about the way it could help. And man, I tell you what, I'm sold. I think if they do ballet, they do yoga, it just really helps recovery. It's just a really, it's a really what's the word I want to use? Underappreciated talent. It really is.
Ballet, ballerina talk, yoga talk, Tai Chi talk with Coach Joe and Jimmy the Saint. Yeah. Hey, how strange was it that the Rams didn't have a pick? They had all those other numbers we talked about, but no interceptions of 3 Lions quarterbacks.
I was surprised. I thought we would. We going into the game, I think we had 9. So I was expecting a few, just because I felt like there'd be so much pressure, the ball would go up and we would get some chances at it, and it just never really worked out. I mean, they were either overthrows, underthrows. We dropped one. Nick Williams dropped one. It would have been a difficult catch, but it was the one opportunity we really had. But man, when there was pressure, that ball came out and it was on the ground or whatever, and they came off the ball quick. The defense did, and I was surprised. I expected at least 1 or 2, just based on the way they like to attack. But it didn't work out.
Carson Rogers, the quarterback, he was rusty a bit early, did have a touchdown, did throw a pick, and he was sacked. He did make some risky throws there in the third quarter, and then Cole Francis came in. Is Carson's shoulder okay?
We'll find out. He's getting it looked at. We'll just have to wait and see. I know it's hurting him, but we'll just have to wait and see. And Cole, last time Cole went out and started, he did really well. So he's got some seasoning. He's a really good one. He was ahead of Carson coming out of spring, and then Carson passed him in the summer. So, they're pretty neck and neck on a lot of things anyway. And then we have the young freshman behind him, Colin Johnson. So we'll see. I really hope that Carson is okay. I mean, he's a tough kid. We'll just have to wait and see what the doctor says this afternoon.
Ashton, Mitchell, Johnson. We have to talk about running backs if we're doing 1st and 10 and talking about the Rams. So AMJ cracked 100. I think he had 109, but he lost 9 yards on a negative play. But he finished with 102 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. How much does he improve each week?
He's improved a lot. Ashton has always been, I like the way he runs because he is downhill. His shoulders are downhill. He's a power back. Once he learns to make that, have the vision to see and be just a little bit more patient, I think he's going to be even better. Vernon was out. Ernie didn't play a lot. Nick David was out. So we were, he had to carry the ball, and Sagoo's got a good defense. I mean, just because there was 51 points, you had a scoop and score, you had a block punt, and we were down living in their territory. But their defense is, I think, really good. So I guess especially against the run. And Ashton was the type of back we needed. Hammer, run through, 4 yards is okay. 5 is great. 6, let's throw a parade. So he was that kind of back that we needed, a real power back, and he came in and did a great job. And he's gotten more and more reps in practice, him and Vernon, and I feel good about that room. I really do.
And the wide receiver room, A.J. Bob is the Mr. Electric, and he's the go-to guy. But how about T.J. Curtis? He had a pretty good game.
That was T.J.'s best game. We've been waiting on T.J. to kind of have that breakout game because he has been really, really good in practice. But boy, he made 2 outstanding catches. So I'm hoping that's a good marker and a sign of things to come. And he is really, really talented. He is also twitchy and very athletic. He can dunk, I think, like 1 step inside the free throw line or something. And so he's got that kind of athleticism. We just got to get it to where he gets super confident. Borderline cocky, if you were, I'm going to catch everything. Everything's got to come my way. And once he gets his confidence like that, I think it'll all start to come together. But that was a coming out party for him.
And we'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the elephant in the room. Big elephant over there with the initials NAIA.
Yeah.
So, Rams, as we said at the outset, 2 consecutive shutouts. Arkansas Baptist 2 weeks ago, 62-zip. Last Saturday, Sagoo 51-0. So that's 113-0 by my math with a point differential. And lo and behold, polls came out earlier in the week for the NAIA poll. And you think the Rams would go up from 17? They were 13, got beat by St. Thomas, dropped to 17. But lo and behold,
no, dropped all the way to 20, wasn't it? Dropped to 20.
Was it to 20?
To 20, and then went up to 17.
Okay, so it was 20
and then dropped back down to 19.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So.
But now, how do you drop 2 points after shutting out 2 teams, 113-0?
It's I don't know. It's a little bit of a mystery to me. But it is on the anniversary of last year, the same week.
That's right.
To where we beat Langston by 27, and they were ranked ahead of us at that time. They were ranked just behind us. We were 19, they were 20, had a 27-point win and dropped 2 spots. The 2 Arizona schools were idle that week, and they went up a spot. So I don't really know what the answer is. But it's like I tell our guys, our job is to just go out 1 game at a time. That game is all that matters to us. That's all we're going to play for, and take care of it. If we're successful, then that's what we got to do. We can't control anything else. We just can't. I was surprised the Louisiana Christian dropped out.
I know.
I thought that's maybe a bigger, to me, disservice than us. But and then Ottawa won by 80-something points out in the desert. They stay in the same spot. So I don't know. That whole thing to me is a mystery, and the way they come up with things and all that. And at least we have it at a point now where if you win conference, you're in. So if we don't win conference, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. We're in a good spot. We just got to 1 game at a time. And, we get to control our own fate at this point, which that's all I can ask for.
In the next 1 game at a time, Wayland Baptist comes to Crowley ISD. It'll be a 2 p.m. kickoff, Antler Sports Network and ramsports.net. Myself and Jared Jones will have the broadcast for you. So hopefully 3 shutouts maybe? How are they? Are they shutoutable, I guess is the question.
If we play well, if we do what we're supposed to do, we can shut them out. But we have to play well. You can't give up a chunk play. You can't have a blown assignment. You can't have a blown coverage. You just have to get in there and focus and do what you're supposed to do, and then good things can happen. We don't go out there saying we're going to get a shutout. It doesn't work like that. It's kind of like the pitcher who's in a no-hitter, and somebody mentions no-hitter to him, and the next thing you know, they start just bombs going out the yard. And they're a good team. They're a physical team. They're a big team. They run counters very, very well. They were beating Sagoo for a while. I think they were had a good lead on 13-0 or something, maybe up to 23, and then Sagu exploded for a bunch of points in the second half and had a pick six, had a kickoff return for a touchdown, and got back on top of it. You know, they got a new coach. He's been their longtime defensive coordinator, and so they're in a good spot as far as, you know, familiarity. They got some good athletes, but they are physical and they're aggressive. So we better play. If we don't play, we're going to be in trouble. I mean, nobody in our conference, I don't think, is good enough to sleepwalk into any win. You've got to be ready to play, and so see how we look.
See, the practice earlier in the week was good. So how much during a week like that, when you're facing a team that's lost 5 straight like Wayland Baptist, do you have to hammer that home? Say, you know, these guys have lost 5 straight, but they are a Sooner Athletic Conference team, and you can't, you know, sleepwalk. So how much do you have to hammer that into them?
Well, first of all, we never mentioned 0-5.
Okay.
We don't even talk about their record.
Okay.
We talk about, you know, that what they're averaging on offense, 23.9. We talk about that they're third in the sack in run defense. Whatever they do that they do well, their kicker is really good. I don't think he's as good as Blodgett. Blodgett's on a different level of everybody, but I think he's 6 of 6 for field goals and 13 of 13 on PATs or something like that. And so we just all we ever talk about on any opponent is what they do well. We never talk about. We don't even really talk about their records. Now we will on the teams that we come in and they're 6-1 or 5-1. And yeah, they're there for a reason. You know, we tell them our guys are there for a reason. But if it's an opponent that maybe doesn't have those type of records or credentials or whatever, all we talk about is what they do well and what we have to take away in order to be successful and what we have to do to win. I don't like to cloud their minds. I don't like to bring in other things to think about. So that's really how we go about it.
And back home again at CISD, beautiful Crowley ISD Stadium. How good is it to be home and not have to jump on a bus and go somewhere?
Well, we still jump on a bus to go to Crowley.
Right.
but it's a lot shorter trip.
Yeah.
A lot shorter trip. No, it's going to be great to get it back to Crowley and get in front of the home crowd. And that venue is just so fun to play in. It's just fun to play in. The acoustics in there are crazy. You hear everything. It's so contained. It'll be great to get back there. And, you know, I really enjoyed the venue in Waxahachie. That's a beautiful stadium. Lupkins is a great stadium. Mm-hmm. So, we were in a good stadium last week, but I really like the way Crowley's set up. And it feels like home. It is home to us. So we're excited to get back and get on the road, back to the short road to Crowley.
And myself and Jared Jones will have it for you on Antler Sports Net. 2 o'clock kickoff. We'll have the pregame show, which also will have First and 10 on it, this version of First and 10. We'll start by 11:30, if not, I should say 1:30, if not 1 o'clock. But if you can't make the game. But come on down, see us at beautiful CISD, 2 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, Crowley ISD Stadium. The Rams, the 17th ranked, which should be higher in the NIA.
We're 19th. We're 19th now.
And 19th,
we
that's
were
right.
We
I'm
were
still
17,
stuck on 17.
We were 17.
See what that does me? They go down negative, and I still think they're 17.
We were 17 on Sunday and 19 on Monday. So.
Okay. So hopefully they'll move up. Maybe they can get a third shutout. I don't know what it'll take. You have to hang 75, 100 on somebody.
We just got to go play, man.
You just got to go
play defense, play great defense. Let the chips fall.
Good. They'll be falling. And come down and see us at CISD, Crowley ISD against Wayland Baptist. Your 5-1 Texas Wesleyan Rams, 2 p.m. on Saturday. Or today, if you're watching it today on the pregame show, First and 10. For Rams head coach Joe Prud'homme and his great staff, for Kenneth Flowers, for Ricky Dotson, for James McBride and their great staffs, Jimmy the St. Christopher saying, so long, we'll talk to you next time on First and 10.